We'll be bringing in the first of 5 races from Addington in Christchurch, New Zealand. The first of the Inter-Dominion heats. It's round 2 tonight. And joining me for special comments, Sam Natai. How are you, Sam?
Matthew, very well. Night 2 tonight of 4 nights at Addington, and I guess the intrigue goes up after last week, a few costly failures, and they have to perform well this week.
Well, we aren't expecting a failure in the first race because New South Wales punters have got Take a Moment, Sam, at about, well, here we go, $1.04. $1.04 for the win. Is he that good?
Oh, well, he is. He shouldn't be $1.04. I think he's closer to about $1.40 on the New Zealand tote. But we had a similar situation last week where I think he ran $1.35 on the New Zealand tote and basically ran $1.04, $1.10 on the Australian TABs respectively. So I'm not expecting him to get out too far. He does look the winner here. Gold.
What did he do last week? Can he say?
He sat back in the field early on, then came around them and got the lead with a lap to go and won very, very easily. It was in need of the run as well, so he can only be fitter for it. He's expected to win. I mean, you don't need to be a genius to point that out. The interesting runner from the Australians' perspective here is Golden Gold, the only horse trained in Australia contesting the Trotters Inter-Dominion Series. Last week he galloped 3 times in the race. He is the horse that most people expected could take it to Take a Moment in this series. However, his failure last week, not so much his ability, but his tendency to do things wrong is what stands against him more than anything else. I think you just got to look past Golden Gold. If he does everything right, he can be competitive, but I actually think there's a really good Quinella here, pretty safe Quinella, and that's number 1 Sundowner Bay, who led last week and was just collared in the last few stages behind Frugal Echo. And in fact, on the line was going as well as Frugal Echo again. I see Sundowner Bay leading early here, handing over to Take a Moment, and unless Golden Gold is on his absolute best behaviour, I think they'll run in 5 from 1.
Right, I believe Sundowner Bay is $12 on the New Zealand TAB, so it's certainly holding up well. New South Wales at the moment, where it's currently 100 to 1. We'll talk more about Heat 1 of the Inter-Dominion, or Heat 3 for the Trotters officially, which is coming up. Runners are at the start for tonight's first heat of the Trotters, the 3rd heat of the series. Take a Moment, $1.04. Sam, last week these trotting heats were starting off a standing start. Tonight it's a mobile.
Yeah, of course, plenty of controversy, the fact that they went first up over the stand too. Mobile for the last 2 rounds of heats, and then the final is a mobile as well. I think most people would agree that's the way the Inter-Dominion should be run, all mobile. But anyway, we got the stand starts out of the way last week. Back to the shorter trip this week, the 1950 metre journey. And Addington, despite being a lovely big track, is not noted for having competitive racing over the short trip. The reason for that is that the style of racing in New Zealand is very different to that in Australia. Very little placed on the early battle for the lead, say like it is in Australia, where they use a lot more petrol early on. In New Zealand it tends to be a bit of a loaf early and then a sprint home. So these races usually dominated by those up near the top end.
Okay, that's a market for Moe coming up.
Looking for the exotics, and my pick was definitely number 1 Sundowner Bay as the anchor for second.
Philip Clements is calling the action at Addington tonight as we link up with the New Zealand coverage.
The Interdom's unbeaten. Can he defend the title he won in 2001? Castle Van's going to miss the kick here. Your favourite goes from barrier 5. Here's the voice of Addington Raceway, Rion Murtha.
Just about at the start for this, the 3rd heat for the Trotters, 1950 metres. Castle Van a bit back when they go. There's the green light, and Martina Rate stepped brilliantly over Sundowner Bay, and trying to go out with those special force a little wider on the track. In behind the Mountain Springs made a good beginning. Golden Gold has got back a little bit. Going through on the inside of runners is Cordon Rouge. Superstar a go got a fairly nice traffic move through the pack. Take a Moment just being eased behind it. It's followed by Golden Gold, now settles down on the last 4 or 5. One of those then on the inside is Call You Later, followed by Hutzpah. Outside of Hutzpah, Meniscus and Castle Van at the back of the field. Round the turn into the straight they run. And the 3rd heat of the Inter-Dominion Trotters series comes down the straight at the 1400. Mike DePhilippi takes Sundowner Bay back to the front. Here's Take a Moment, and Anthony Butt cruises up with the champion, goes round the outside, effortlessly got to the lead, and Take a Moment goes to the lead. Sundowner Bay, Mike DePhilippi might be quite happy with that to take a trail behind the champ. The best one to be behind Golden Gold goes around the outer. Is followed then on the outside by Special Force. Martina H 3 back. After those Cordon Rouge. Next to it is the outside horse Mountain Spring. Into the back they run. The lead timer didn't pick up at 32.7 the quarter. 1,000 to go. Call You Later back on the inside of Superstar a go. Then Meniscus, Hutzpah and Castle Van. A field covering about 8 or 9 lengths as they go to the 800 metres. Leader on the inside, Take a Moment, a neck away is Golden Gold, followed by Sundowner Bay. Sitting Park Special Forces, followed on the inside of runners by Martina H, and next to Martina H down the back, Mountain Spring. Second quarter and 29.8, and they run to the 600, heading the rest around the outside. 3 out at this point of the race, trying to go forward is Meniscus. They were followed, Castle Van's made a move ahead of it, and after those Call You Later, and going to the back is Hutzpah. Out of the back they run 400 metres from home. Take a Moment, Golden Gold needs big points in this, and it's followed on the inside by Sundowner Bay Special Force. Then coming into it, Mountain Spring a bit wider in the track. Martina H looking for luck in the inner, but Take a Moment surges here, and Take a Moment leaves Golden Gold in his wake, and Sundowner Bay is coming strongly the inner, and further out then we've got Mountain Spring, but Take a Moment too good for them. Golden Gold keeps on trucking, and Sundowner Bay, they go to the line. Take a Moment, Golden Gold, Sundowner Bay. They were followed home then in photos, either Meniscus or Martina H, little between those two for fourth. Heading the rest across the line then may have been Cordon Rouge, Call You Later, Special Force, Superstar A Go-Go. No, that was Mountain Spring up ahead of those, because there's Cordon Rouge back behind them, and they were followed a bit further back in the race by Hutzpah, and last of all was Castle Van. Well, he's Golden Gold.
That's the race we came to see. Golden Gold, the number one Aussie against our champion, Take a Moment. It was the race we came to see until 400 from home. Take a Moment, the hot shot, the champ, the Hale, the king of New Zealand trotting. Gentlemen, I would say after that, he's a $1.20 shot on the Inter-Dominion Grand Final. That was staggering. Probably.
Certainly was an easy win, Sam. They're just moving in Moe.
Yeah, just what we probably expected. Maybe not that easy. Interesting. He only came into $1.65 with most betting agencies after his heat win last week, which I have to say surprised me. He genuinely looked a threes on shot after last week, and now he'll be at least that short. Golden Gold went honourably outside the leader, but really you would have imagined Take a Moment could have sat outside him and beat him the way it turned out, and Sundowner Bay had his chance to run second, boxed on and finished third. The race panned out, well, almost exactly like I thought it would be, with the exception of maybe Sundowner Bay edging out Golden Gold.
In that second Trotters heat tonight, is there no Trotters in that in the same class as this one?
No way. Frugal Echo is a lovely trotter, but Take a Moment's had his measure all through this season and even before that. Actually, I like one at a bit of odds in that second heat. We'll get to that a bit later on. For those having early bets, it's number 2. But we'll get to that later.
Okay, our Inter-Dominion coverage is proudly brought to you by Essie. Callow about to take his mount up into line at Moe. There's the interims at Addington. Take a Moment, very short. Golden Gold, Sundowner Bay, trifecta 14:30.
20, 16 Alert Motoring, Western Light 14, Gracious Night number 8, $11. Mr. DG, which topped the ratings at $35, horse number 5. Baltic Eagle at $2.60, 17 Bruisem, and Shorty's Girl at $7.60. That race at Addington coming up in around.
Actually, the thing that I was interested in, on the night and during the week, Neville, was your association with the past champion Gammalite. Just how tight was that association?
Well, I really only drove him twice when Bruce was unable to, through a broken hip and a suspension.
So Bruce is your brother? Just
Bruce is my brother.
We've read it, but a lot of people might not know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Bruce is my brother, and he drove him and probably won something like 80 races on him, I think. So I was just fortunate enough to be able to drive Gammalite on 2 occasions and win both of them. So I was very happy.
I tell you what, if you were cutting up rough a bit with the sport, having a horse like Gammalite around would get you fired up pretty quickly again, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you never forget a horse like that, and it's just a little spark is always there because of him.
How do you sit with Western Light's performance now that you've had sort of 7 days of, breathtaking?
Well, I wasn't overly surprised that he could do something like that with the nice run that he got.
Yep.
And but all I was worried about was how the trip over affected him. I was more affected by the trip than he was, obviously, and he finished, full of running and did a very good job.
Is he really just a one-trick pony, or is he sort of better than that? I mean, obviously that was his trick and we've seen it, but is that his go? Is that it?
Well, it's basically, I'd say, more times he wins good races that way.
Yep.
Naturally, coming through the classes, he was able to do, much tougher and all that type of thing. But to get the best out of Western Light, I feel driven with a sit and sprint home is his go. But, we always leave that door open a little bit for some other opportunity.
So we don't expect you to be ducking for cover all series? You're not looking for the markers every time you...
No, not Not entirely, but I certainly...
If it's there, you'll take it.
Oh yeah, I certainly respect the other horses that are in a race. So yeah, I wouldn't like to be doing it too tough, but none of them would.
Your mission tonight, yeah, you can probably seal a final place tonight if he runs, what, top 4 or close to it?
Yeah, I would have thought that, in the first 4 to 5 perhaps,
2600 suit him better than the sprint?
Yes, normally it does. He goes well over that journey.
You've given us...
Righto, we better leave it there. Western Light going around on the next heat at Addington, the first for the Pacers this evening. Baltic Eagle very solid here on Outtote board, and he's pretty solid over in New Zealand as well.
Yeah, he's too short on Outtote, isn't he? But he does look the winner for my money. I thought he would be very competitive in this heat over the 2600 metres. He's drawn wide, but I expect him to go forward and take up a prominent position. He is, well, he's more than a point longer in New Zealand. I thought the knockout horse, if there was one at the value, was number 8, Gracious Night. I thought it would pose the greatest threat to Baltic Eagle. I thought Stars and Stripes was silly under the odds there, because it's not a quick beginner from barrier 1, but Baltic Eagle needs to score plenty of points. I know he finished 4th last week, but he still needs to keep going.
Righto, he's the favourite, 220, as we head back to Addington now for the 4th.
Let's head upstairs to the voice of Addington Raceway, Rion Merthyr.
Behind the mobile, there's the flashing light. They're underway, and Dartaway began well. Stars and Stripes also going out well, but there's speed from Mr. DG. Mr. DG in the middle of the track trying to head them off. Easing back to Western Light in the centre, going up and shooting up to be with them as Alert Motoring. Mr. DG's going to be stranded out 3, couldn't cross. Bruisem got through in behind those. Dartaway eases back to 5th, and outside of that as they run round the turn is that old Bomber. Then Western Light has followed Shorty's Girl, just going ahead of Western Light's inclined to pull tonight. Over on the outside, getting through was Franco New Deal, 2 lengths further back too. Dreams to Realities, followed by Gracious Night, and Baltic Eagle's gone to the back of the field tonight. So as they travel down the back, they're about 15 lengths first to last. Inside the 2,000 metres, sorting themselves out, and Stars and Stripes is left in front. Stars and Stripes, he's got his ears pricked, he's under a big hole for Ken Barron. Atoll Bomber sits up outside him. Bruisem got a beautiful passage through to be right on the back of the leader, and now slotting in for a 1-1 was Mr. DG, followed by Alert Motoring. Dartaway's racing in the clear. Shorty's Girl on its back. Western Light somehow has manoeuvred to be on the inside of them all. They were followed by Franco New Deal, Dreams to Reality going around, and so's Baltic Eagle coming from the back, and Gracious Night goes to last. They concertina a bit round the turn into the straight. Lead time came up. No, it hasn't just yet. 4:12.7. It did. It won 12.7. That'll be into the straight they run. 1,400 metres left, and at Stars and Stripes, Shorty's Girls made a move. Goes up outside, and Dreams to Reality is 3 wide. There's plenty of attackers. Also Baltic Eagle coming around them. Bruisem getting a soft passage. They were followed in the centre by Atoll Bomber. Alert Motoring 3 back. Getting a bit closer. Franco New Deal. Mr. DG lost its place. Western Light the same back of the inside. Outside of those, Gracious Night takes a more forward position, and Dartaway shunted to the rear, but they've boxed up. First quarter was 31.5, less than 1,000 metres from home, and into the back Baltic Eagle takes over. So Western Australia hits the front as they go into the back from Stars and Stripes, Dreams to Reality, Franco New Deal 3 wide. Bruisem back on the inside between them, Shorty's Girl, Gracious Night 3 out around the outside, and 4 lengths from the leader. In behind them, Alert Motoring's run into a bit of a traffic jam. Dartaway and Atoll Bomber there, followed by Western Light's been pushed to second to last, and Mr. DG last. Out of the back they travel. 28.8 the second quarter, 550 metres from home, and the leader at this point of the race is Baltic Eagle, a length clear. Baltic Eagle, Dreams to Reality, coming around the outside of them, 3 wide as they race up as Franco New Deal, Stars and Stripes will sweat on the passing lane. Shorty's Girl being just held up in the centre, looking for room. Bruisem next, followed around by Gracious Night. Baltic Eagle sprints for home. Stars and Stripes, can he mow him down? And Bruisem comes out further in. Alert Motoring, and they were followed by Franco New Deal and Shorty's Girl, but Baltic Eagle, a tough customer this, he's shown it tonight, and Western Australia win the next Pacers heat from Stars and Stripes and Bruisem. Next the cross on the outside, Shorty's Girl at the Western Light, that is Western Light next home. It was followed across on the inside of runners by Alert Motoring, then Franco New Deal. They were followed home by Atoll Bomber, Mr. DG, Shorty's Girl, Gracious Night, Dreams to Reality, and Dartaway. Baltic Eagle.
There's the grand final favourite for the Inter-Dominions, there's no doubts about that. The Western Australian settled last and crushed them. cruised around in the middle stages. They weren't going slow. 28.5 seconds for one of those quarters, but he was simply too good. He loved the 2,600 metres. Disaster time for Gracious Knight. He won't be making the final. He was dreadful tonight, but quite simply, Adam, that was an emphatic grand final favouritism gaining victory.
Yeah, well, what he did, he ran up to what he produced last week. I thought that he was a stunning performance to get as close as he did in a race that wasn't run to suit. Remember, this is the distance of the final, and you're looking at the horse that everybody has to beat now. He wanted to own that race, Imprentice, and Justy, he did it mid-race and did it in style.
Yeah, did it in style, all right. Baltic Eagle, WA. We like to think here more like representing Australia.
Well, I'm surprised the Kiwis don't claim him as one of theirs, because of course he was bred in New Zealand. This horse's run, as was touched on by Adam last week, was significant, and after last week's heat, I thought he was one of the three top picks for the final, and certainly we saw nothing there to change your mind. He's right in the final.
Stars and Stripes, you know, he's been beaten out of sight tonight. He's run second, but look, he's still on the improve.
He's not a leader either, so his run was okay.
Yeah. All right, we're about to move up at Casino 4 Addington. There we are. The Aussie horse Baltic Eagle getting home over the New Zealanders Stars and Stripes and Bruisem, and that mile rate 158.6. Now we're getting some information through on the protest. Goodness me. Oh, it's getting a bit messy there at Addington. All right. Well, we understand 541. The all clear has been given 541, but after that second protest was dismissed, we also understand there were other protests fired in against the fourth, and with Kim Prentice, who piloted Baltic Eagle to success a few minutes ago.
Well, Kim, last week, a good run, but gee, improved tonight, didn't he?
Yeah, mate. From the bad draw last week, I thought he run was absolutely super, and tonight helped us with the draw, but gone great, and he'll only get better from here on in.
Was it always your impression to go back from the start and then just work around them like he did?
Yeah, I didn't expect a couple on the front to go forward, and you know, I was hoping to get the front, but a lot earlier than we did. But look, he's done a super job, and it can only get better from here on in.
All the best for the rest of the series, Kim.
Same to you tomorrow, mate.
Cheers.
Righto, 9, 1 and 10 there at Addington. It's all clear right to pay on the fourth. Baltic Eagle over Stars and Stripes and Bruisem. The trifecta paid 98.70. Now the runner's about to move onto the track.
Has to bounce back, and he got the dream barrier draw, barrier 4.
Reckon he'll bound straight to the lead?
I think he'll lead. I think he'll get the lead eventually if it's not straight on the lure. But yeah, I think he's the horse to beat. I think there might be some problems with tonight's ratings from Addington. They've sort of all thrown up weird numbers there, and I couldn't imagine that Mont Denver Gold would be left out of the top 4. So I'm just not so sure that punters should be taking a hell of a lot of notice of them tonight. There's obviously been some kind of error, because Take a Moment was out of the top 4 earlier on. So anyway, we'll see what happens there. But Double Identity, as expected, would be favourite here. And yeah, well, Mont Denver Gold, I guess the thing Double Identity's got going for him, he's going to be in front of Mont Denver Gold.
All right, well, is there anything else in the field that will be suited by the extra distance tonight? What about Wahaka Lass?
Look, I think that she's a wonderful mare and she'll be competitive. There was one horse last week that you must include in the trifecta, and its previous form wasn't anything to write home about, but it did catch the eye last week as far as placings are concerned here. It's Randy Andy, number 10. Not sure I like the name that much, but certainly from the draw, probably be 3 back the fence. Can certainly run a place at the rough odds, but I'm tipping Double Identity to bounce back. I'm not sure if it's heart or mind that's tipping Double Identity, but maybe a bit of both.
He looks hard to beat off the 4 anyway. All right, so we'll make sure you put Randy Andy in. He's about $20 on the New Zealand tote, and nearly double that on New South Wales. So Sam, not any real change there. Randy Andy at about $40.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, certainly a place chance in this particular race. Double Identity, he's in the same situation as Baltic Eagle was as far as Australian punters are concerned. He's shorter than he is in New Zealand, but does look the winner, and that was the case with Baltic.
Trade on Addington. Double Identity now out to even money with the late support for Mont Denver Gold, and Wahaka Lass is also on the drift. It's out to 9.30, so there is support there for Mont Denver Gold.
Yeah, they're virtually equal favourites now in New Zealand at around the 9 to 4 mark, so both with the Aussie interest and support are shorter on our totes. I guess we've spoken pretty much about the chances here. Just as a sidelight, Colin De Philippi drives Village Chief here, who he co-trains with his wife Julie. If Village Chief, and it's probably only an if at this stage, if he makes the final, then under the rules Colin De Philippi will be obliged to drive Village Chief, which will free up the drive aboard Sly Flying, assuming that horse makes it through. I believe Tony Hurley, he's on standby to drive Sly Flying, so I guess Colin would like to train one himself into the final, but
and hasn't Tony Hurley got a great record of picking up the drive on the other horse?
Just a great record, but you're right. Whenever he gets on that pick-up drive, he seems to make the most of it, and well, he's the best driver in Australasia, so that's not surprising. So that's just a little interesting sidelight. Village Chief will probably struggle to make the final anyway.
Now 286 confirmed.
They're racing. Near the inside, McCarty Galahad, not as quick as some outside, and we saw a quick beginning wide out on the track. We Eagles Dare and OK Ulysses both came out firing, just going off stride. Double Identity at the end of 100 metres. He did this the first night, and he's going backwards quickly. Running through to third, McCarty Galahad, Final Ridge, Randy Andy, then Panky's Pacer, City Rogue, followed by Mont Denver Gold. About 2 to Holmes DG, sitting back as Wahaka Lass and Village Chief, and forget about Double Identity. He's history. And he's only had 1 point so far, and he's not going to get any more tonight. Into the back they run, and as they travel into the back, where Eagles Dare got the lead by 3 lengths from McCarty Galahad, held second, 3 lengths away, mind you. Randy Andy is now third. Over on the outside of run as they travel down the back was OK Ulysses, and Final Ridge on its back, followed by Panky's Pacer. Village Chief gets a charmed run through along the markers. City Rogue was next, then Mont Denver Gold and Holmes DG and Wahaka Lass, and right out of it, Double Identity. Out of the back they run, 1,800 metres to run. Where Eagles Dare, 3 clear of McCarty Galahad. Sitting parked, Randy Andy, followed by Final Ridge. And after those we've got OK Ulysses, Village Chief 4 back. The markers, Panky's Pacer a length away. City Rogue is 2 back. Another 2, Mont Denver Gold, being patiently driven by Chris Halford. And he's just sitting as quiet as a church mouse, followed a length away by Holmes DG. He's going to track him with Scotty Phelan. And Wahaka Lass at the back of them all, about a dozen lengths from the leader, and Double Identity got going, but he's 30 metres away. Down the straight, 1,400 left. Where Eagles Dare, the lead time 1:14.1, much slower than the first Pacers heat tonight. Out by 2 lengths, McCarty Galahad. Randy Andy is Panky's Pacer making a lunge at them. 3 wide round the outside. Final Ridge is 3 deep. They were followed by OK Ulysses, Village Chief, City Rogue, Mont Denver Gold, Holmes DG, and Wahaka Lass, and Double Identity has gained on them. He's going to be at the back of the bunch, but boy, they're only crawling around the turn. Into the back, 1,000 to go, 34.1 the quarter. Into the back goes the leader, Where Eagles Dare. Got away with a really soft quarter. He's out by 2. More speed goes on again. Panky's Pacer, McCarty Galahad, followed by Randy Andy, Final Ridge. Next was OK Ulysses, Village Chief got away from the markers. City Rogue, now they're sprinting. Mont Denver Gold, this will be a test for him tonight as they sprint hard down the back. Holmes DG the same, followed by Wahaka Lass and Double Identity on its inner. They run out past the 600 metres, the second quarter, 30.7, but you can bet they'll be flying home. Where Eagles Dare, untroubled in front, nothing to take him on yet. Here's Panky's Pacer starting to drive forward. McCarty Galahad's the slipstream run, is joined on the outside by Randy Andy, OK Ulysses, followed by Final Ridge, Village Chief, and in behind them then to Holmes DG, Wahaka Lass, City Rogue and Mont Denver Gold and Double Identity. The pressure too hot at the moment. Where Eagles Dare by 2 lengths from Panky's Pacer. Here's Village Chief storming down the outside. City Rogue, McCarty Galahad still there in the inner, but Where Eagles Dare, and a perfect drive tonight on Where Eagles Dare by Andrew Neal. He stole this one, and they were followed home. We had Village Chief wider out, Panky's Pacer in the centre, McCarty Galahad, Mont Denver Gold's flying home late to be in the photos as well, and they were followed after those by Wahaka Lass, Holmes DG, Randy Andy, then Final Ridge, then OK Ulysses. City Rogue was a bit closer, but he's pulled up quickly, and at the back of the field, Double Identity.
Wow, the big guns have been blown away by the big divvy, Where Eagles Dare, and quite simply, co-trainer Andrew Neal outdrove some of the smartest men in harness racing. Wahaka Lass, Holmes DG, Mont Denver Gold, they never moved. They were crawling along, and the drivers of those horses need to have a good hard look at themselves. They had no conceivable winning chance 800 from home, as Weir Eagles Dare simply cruised along in front, and he has distance. Some of the favourites for the series: Montember Gold, the best of the hot pot, storming home. Village Chief will run second, and the Inter-Dominion dream for Double Identity is over. He galloped out at the start. He does not want to be at Addington, and he will be going home with no grand final contention in sight. So, Weir Eagles Dare at the massive odds. He's the Western Light of the second round. He's the blowout, and it's pretty hard, Adam Hamilton, to know what to make of the favoured runners. They simply had no chance, and I know they have to drive their horses sometimes that way, but if I was a punter sitting at home, I'd be feeling cheated by that.
Yeah, possibly, but I'm going to jump strongly to the defence of Chris Elford. He's never driven this horse any differently, and if punters expect him to do that, then, you know, don't back the horse, because he'll drive it that way for the rest of the series. We'll listen to this.
The mile rate, 201.1, the 800, 56.5, and the 400, 28.2. Margins 4 3/4 lengths, half a neck, half a head.
Tonight, the lead, he got it relatively easy. It was just way too strong.
Yeah, he found the lead quite well. You know, and he's cruising the whole way. Nothing really challenged. I backed them off as much as I could, and let's sprinted them home. And
fair to say, Andrew, that 34 first quarter of the last mile, that was probably the winning of the race.
Yeah, well, I got away with it. No one wanted to come around, so yeah, it did help a lot. But he was saying that he could have run a good quarter down the back and still been there, I think.
Well done, Andrew, and all the best for the rest of the series.
Thanks, Greg.
Well, he said it. He got away with a 34-second quarter in the middle of an Inter-Dominion heat on the second night here at Addington. That is absolutely unheard of. And Montember Gold, a great performance to get third from where he came from, but that is going to be the chink in his armour for the rest of his life, that he's going to have to sit back and wait for something to take him into the race and get close enough. $50.65 and $9.15. Andrew Neil, stand up and take a bow. That was a superlative performance by you, and the horse that's promised so much. Maybe he's going to deliver when it really counts. But it's...
Yeah, he's delivered punters to the poorhouse. Weir Eagles Dare. I'm in agreement with Mickey Guerin there. I know Chris. I know Adams jumped to Chris Alford's defence, but gee, still no move as they were about to straighten up, and then he was trying to weave his way in, trying to repeat last week's performance. But if you're a punter, you probably would have felt a bit cheated.
Look, I think it's the vagary of the Inter-Dominion, isn't it? I mean, he got full points last week. He's got to worry about being at his peak for a final in a fortnight. I think that's what you deal with in Inter-Dominion, and I know that it's a very hazy, shady area. He does drive the horse very sit and sprint, but he was ultra-conservative tonight. But I'll tell you what, there's one thing that comes out of it. He's got a huge hope in the final.
Oh, for sure.
Actually, we've narrowed it down to two hopes only now. Baltic Eagle and Montember Gold. The way he hit the line there, he will just about... Well, it'll be Baltic Eagle and Montember Gold co-favourites, depending on what happens in the third of the three heats tonight. They'll be co-favourites come the betting market later tonight. Double Identity, well...
Is he an unhappy horse?
Oh, he's feeling the effects of a long season, obviously. You know,
hasn't he been up a long time?
He has been, and look, he had a slight let up after the Victoria Cup, and I personally thought it was going to be enough to get him through the Inter-Dominion, but no, he's a very unhappy racehorse, and he has broken again tonight, which is it's unusual for him, and obviously we'll chase up to see what the excuse was this week. You know, from Harry Martin last week, it was because he was too fresh. I don't think that'll be the excuse this week, and probably whatever he comes up with might then turn out to be the reason why he galloped last week. But I think we're looking at a